We are officially under a month away from the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and we have some solid news if I say so myself. But this can actually end up being really good or really bad when the game launches. The Black Ops 6 beta had its fair share of issues, but the developers have been hard at work, and we've got the inside scoop on all the fixes coming our way before launch. If you could add one new feature to Black Ops 6, what would it be, or what would you get rid of? Let's hear from you down in the comment section. If this is your first time here, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back, and feel free to light up the comments as we go along. Taking a look at the Blizzard blog post here, wow, that's a little bit of a tongue twister. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 multiplayer, the road to launch. Thank you to our amazing community who made the Black Ops 6 multiplayer beta the biggest ever in Call of Duty. We're extremely grateful to all of you who spent time with us in the game and those of you who shared your feedback. From your experiences and our in-game data, we want to highlight some key areas of feedback that we're committed to updating ahead of launch. Now, as far as maps, while our selection of 8 total maps in the beta trended smaller in size and included some of our strike maps, we recently shared that the majority of the 12 core maps at launch are medium-sized. I think that is a major W from developers in my personal opinion. We're excited about the map variety we got this year, and we always take competitive play into consideration for multiplayer. We're looking forward to unveiling our map selections for the CDL and rank play arriving in Season 1 in Black Ops 6 in the coming months. We're also evaluating some changes to cover placement across multiple maps, including some of the beta maps, which we'll be able to share more details on closer to launch. Although I wasn't a huge fan of the beta maps, with the exception of Skyline of course, and my hot take was Rewind, I do trust that when this game launches, we will have some pretty decent maps to run. From what we can see, the maps do seem to hold both traditional and modern type layouts, so I'm definitely interested in seeing what these maps have to offer. Let us know your take on the maps that we ran in the beta, and what map do you think will end up being the new fan favorite. Now, as far as spawns, as a key companion to maps, we want to update you on the spawn system. One of the most important reasons we have a public beta is gathering spawn data from our players. Now that we have 2 weeks worth of player data, we've already made big strides in dialing in our spawn logic and identifying and resolving issues within the spawn system across the game for launch. Players may have noticed improvements to spawn logic through weekend 2, and as new content comes into the game and we generate even more spawn data, we're always assessing our spawn system and will continue to make necessary updates to it through launch and beyond. Performance. Our beta was immensely helpful in identifying and resolving some performance related issues. Over the course of the beta, we identified several areas that were impacting in-game performance. Some areas where we've made progress on performance include resolving general script errors, addressing issues related to our in-game interface, as well as overall improvements and fixes to our asset streaming. What we just read, I think, was the most important part of the blog post. Super glad these things are being addressed. Spawns can literally make or break a Call of Duty game if I say so myself. We can have just a decent Call of Duty game, but if the spawns are good, subjectively, this calls for a good game. But if you have every single thing lined up in a Call of Duty game perfectly, and if the spawns suck, the game is chalked. Again, this is subjective. Perfect example, Modern Warfare 3 2023. This was a really good game, but Respawn was a nightmare because the spawns were just super random and unpredictable. For whatever reason, it seems that Sledgehammer Games has this weird revenge spawn system. Say if you kill 3 or more players on a team, they almost spawn in a position where it opens them up for a free kill on you or anyone else on your team. I'm not sure if this is something that they do on purpose, but it's a problem for sure. And I felt these spawns were the exact same in the Black Ops 6 beta. In the blog post, they said that they made adjustments for weekend 2. I don't think I really saw any improvements from weekend 1 to weekend 2, especially playing Hardpoint on Derelict. That was a bit of a problem for me personally, and I understand there are a lot of different factors that may influence spawns, but regardless, I am glad developers are taking into consideration what the community is saying about the spawns, and hopefully they can iron this out and we'll be in for a good year of COD. Finishing up that part of the blog post, a smooth game performance is paramount to the player experience, and we've been able to chase down sources of in-game hitching. We will continue working with experts across all disciplines to improve overall performance for launch and into the live seasons. Next, we have headshot damage. We were so excited to see our new weapons in the hands of players throughout the beta, and are grateful to have plenty of data and feedback to process as we look to balance updates for launch. A common piece of feedback we saw was the low headshot damage reduced the impact of skillful play and made it difficult to challenge certain power positions. We agree with these points and are working on adjustments to many weapons to reward players who land multiple headshots during an engagement. That being said, we do not want hit location multipliers to significantly impact the consistency of the TTK in Black Ops 6, so we will continue to monitor the effectiveness of headshots during launch and beyond. This one is a little bit tough for me to speak on. Developers did make it clear that they didn't want headshots to significantly impact the TTK in Black Ops 6, which is a good thing if I say so myself, but at the same time, I do think we should be rewarded for headshots, even if the limb and torso damage are the same. And I know previous titles had upper torso damage that did more damage, or even counted as headshots. Also in previous CODs, you would absolutely get punished for limb damage versus headshot and body damage. But just wishfully speaking here, I don't think it should be a one and done deal when you take a shot to the head. But maybe it could be something along the lines of 2 or 3% more per headshot damage versus body damage. Again, big hypothetically here, let's say if you use an SMG that does 20% damage per shot to the body. Maybe when it comes to headshots, up it to 22 or 23%. I think this will be reasonable, but I also understand weapon balancing is something developers deal with all year long with these titles. And of course, we continue to review data and feedback regarding general weapon feel and tuning, and we're always keeping tabs on overall weapon class balance in the context of our entire map pool. Some specific changes coming at launch include improvements to fluidity of sniper ADS, improved fluidity when swapping weapons during sprint and tactical sprint, reduction of weapon motion during crouch transitions, and small lift to shotguns and targeted adjustments across all weapons to keep SMGs from overperforming relative to other classes. So I don't think I touched snipers at all during the beta, but I did hear some people say that the ADS was painfully slow. Now I know fluidity and speed are two different things, but I am curious to what they really mean when it comes to fluidity. But as far as the improved fluidity when it comes to swapping weapons, it did seem to have a little bit of a delay, especially when you are holstering your weapon to run with your knife out. So maybe this was a similar feeling to how the snipers felt. If we have any snipers here, let us know if that sounds accurate to you guys. Weapon balance is an ongoing process and something we're working towards at every point in our live sessions. We'll be sharing specific details about our balancing in our launch patch notes. Now let's talk about the movement. We were blown away by all of your beta gameplay clips and Omni movement highlights, including the awesome action hero movements you were all able to pull off. We are currently working to dial in some additional updates to improve fluidity and allow players to tune their sprint behavior to their individual play style. Some updates include continued improvements to animation fluidity and fidelity. We identified several areas for improvement to our third-person animation fidelity across slide, dive, jump, etc. Our goal is that you see in first person is representative of what others see in third person in order to maintain immersion and predictability. Adjustments to slide for improved predictability and fluidity. During weekend 2 of the beta, we increased the time before you could enter Sapine during a slide. After further assessment, based on your feedback, we reduced that time to find a nice middle ground between where we were in weekend 1 and weekend 2 of the beta. Also reduced the minimum time to slide after sprinting to prevent accidentally crouching when intending to slide. That was definitely a problem that I had over and over again. It was super frustrating. So glad to see that that's being taken care of. Slight reduction to maximum slide duration. And there's also intelligent movement updates. As a reminder, you can find our suite of intelligent movement settings in the movement tab under controller or keyboard and mouse. In the settings, these settings are broken down by sprint assist, mantle assist, and crouch assist, with the intention of letting you fine-tune your experience, with the result of requiring drastically fewer inputs with basic movement and omni movement in Black Ops 6. We identified an issue in the beta with the additional settings for mantle assist that allows for further tuning of directional mantles. These have been resolved and should now behave as expected. So I thought the movement felt pretty good in weekend 2, but the fact that they plan on making it even better is a pretty big deal. Again, those minor input delays that I mentioned earlier were a thing of concern, but initially I thought maybe it was a competitive integrity thing. I didn't think it was the netcode because everything did feel super responsive, but I did notice a small delay after dolphin dives, especially into the ADS animation. Even with the dexterity perk, which does prioritize mobility, not so much aiming, but hopefully it all makes sense and it all comes together. Now, as far as the winner's circle, we have shortened overall duration of winner's circle. I do like that per se. Mitigated emote spam, improved usability of emote wheel, and improvements to fidelity and lighting. I don't think the changes to the winner's circle were very necessary. Not saying this shouldn't have been done though, but I think the game would have been just fine without these changes to the winner's circle, especially with the fidelity and lighting. I personally thought the spamming emotes was kind of funny, but I do now think we're only able to use one emote per winner's circle. I could be wrong though, but improved usability of the emote wheel. I am hoping this transitions to the in-game emote wheel as well. And there will be a kill counter added. By popular demand, we've added a kill counter on your heads-up display that will track your progress toward kill streak medals, including those who are chasing the coveted nuclear medal and nuke score streak. Camera motion, we're reducing overall camera motion on sprint, tag sprint, and slide. And as far as the game mode kill order, increased kills as HVT team score to 3, reduced HVT survival score to 20, and increased score limit to 150. HVT will no longer drop their pistol when they are eliminated, and improved notification when player is selected as HVT. I do think there were a lot of communication problems in this game mode, so hopefully it'll be a little more enjoyable from here on out. Now, as far as Sleeper Agent, my favorite perk in the game. Remove the time added when earning eliminations while Sleeper Agent is active. I do think that is a good nerf, but we'll see how annoying it still is at launch. And as far as equipment, Stim Shot has been changed from inventory based to cooldown based by default. Quartermaster or Strategist will decrease the cooldown time. Resolved an issue where the Combat X would not deal lethal damage at round start. It wouldn't be a Black Ops game if you can't hit those cross maps at match start. As far as perks, after assessing perk data from our time with the beta, we've made a few updates to ensure compelling decisions are being made. Assassin and Bruiser moved from perk 1 to perk 2, and Dexterity and Gung Ho moved from perk 2 to perk 1. Not entirely sure what that's about, but I'm sure there was a reason. RCXD controls updated to classic Black Ops View based control by default, with an option to switch to gas/brake on controller. Detonate swap from R2 to R1 so accidental mistakes aren't made. The studio and our partners are hard at work, making sure the launch of Black Ops 6 reflects these changes and many more. We'll be sharing more information in the coming weeks, and look out for more intel on the Call of Duty blog. All that being said, do you think all of these changes were essential? I say most of them were, but the winner circle patches could have been left alone. But again, not hating on it. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for sticking around. I'll drop 2 more videos for you on the screen right here. Thank you all for your time. All y'all take care, and I'm out.